We as human beings, all of us are naturally lazy. Everyone who is here is lazy naturally. The things we interact with. And if you see that the majority of your friends tag you on memes, just know where you belong. Yeah, just know where you belong. The network is your net worth. The people that you interact with have an impact on your life. And this cannot be overemphasized. And for you who have gathered here, it is an indication that your thinking is at the same wavelength. You had an opportunity of being anywhere else, but you decided to be here. You can give yourselves a round of applause. I'm so glad to be joining you this morning, and thanks to the organizers of this event. Thank you for having me in. And special thanks to the presenters that have already presented for the wonderful presentations that have been, presented thus far. Well done, and let us give them a round of applause. So I will share on why entrepreneurship. I was requested actually to make this particular presentation quite clear that I needed to make this particular presentation because the organizers felt it would be extremely important for a number of us. But the big question is, why entrepreneurship? Why should we begin entertaining the thought of entrepreneurship? You see, back in the days when our parents said, go to school, get a job, and become successful, they were right, because back then Zambia had two universities, the Copperbelt University and the University of Zambia. So if you graduated, there was a job already waiting for you. But now tables have changed. Zambia alone has over 60 registered universities. Now getting a job has become very difficult. Even for courses that guaranteed you a job on graduation, it is no longer the case now. Around 2000, if you graduated as a teacher, a job will be waiting for you. You'll be posted almost instantly. But now, 2018, 54,000 teachers graduate, only 2,000 are posted. Later on, 27,000, apply, only 2,009 are posted. And now it is very clear that if you graduated as a teacher, at the current rate, you might have to wait for at least 50 years before you are posted as a teacher. Now you might think that is just for those that have done education, but this cuts across. Those that have done, law. From 2018, when 300 were called to the bar, getting a job as a lawyer now has become very difficult. In fact, those that have qualified, called to the bar, passed Ziali, there are no jobs for them. A lawyer who's been called to the bar is getting as less as 1,500 kwacha. That is if they even have something to get. That is how bad things are. So jobs are nowhere to be seen. And you might think it is just about lawyers. You can talk of the creme de la creme, medical doctors, 7 years behind the desk. Getting a job as a medical doctor has now become difficult. We've seen placards, medical doctors saying they want to be posted. Now, with that gets to say something. Those that graduated in 2018, you are just being posted in 2020, and thanks to COVID. Those that were not posted, we've seen them lifting up placards. It just goes to say one thing. Getting a job has become difficult. The government cannot absorb all of us. And in fact, there is no single government across the globe that can solve unemployment. It is entrepreneurs, yourself and myself, employing 5, 10, 3. We are the ones that can solve unemployment. So time has come for us to rise up to the occasion and begin thinking of entrepreneurship. So we are the ones to solve the challenge at hand. And you see, we are in a tight trajectory. I think let me share this, since I'm talking to economists and people who are in that fraternity. If you looked at the GDP of Zambia is around $25 billion. Now, the GDP is basically the value of goods and services produced in a country. The total value of goods and services produced, if we add everything that is produced in Zambia, it's about $25 billion. Now, just to put it to context on why we should rise to the occasion, the value of goods and services given by Huawei or produced by Huawei, a phone company, it's about $125 billion. What does that say? We as a country, all of us combined, we enter in Huawei 5 times with change. That is how small we are. So it calls for us to rise to the occasion and see how we can contribute to the development of our nation. And you might say, okay, fine, GDP, okay. Now let me introduce you to what is known as GNP. GNP is the value of goods and services produced by the citizens of the country. While the GDP is the value of goods and services produced in a country, the GNP, we just look at what the citizens, so if you are looking at the GNP of Zambia, we are looking at what the citizens of Zambia are contributing. The Zambians who are in Zambia and those who are outside Zambia. Now, just to put you to context, the GNP of the United States is more than the GDP of the United States by $250 billion. Now the question would be, how possible is it that what the citizens of the United States produce is more than what is produced in the United States? How is that possible? It is possible because the citizens of the United States have companies outside the United States. So when you add what they produce in the United States and what they produce outside the United States, the value of the GNP then is more than the GDP by $250 billion. Now we know the GDP of Zambia to be $25 billion. The big question is, what is the GNP of Zambia? What do we, as citizens of our country, contribute to our country? That is the key question that I want us to address this morning. And the answer is, our GNP is so small, so insignificant, to a point that we have no records of it. You can Google, you will not find the GNP of Zambia. We contribute nothing as citizens of our country. The mines are not ours, the farms are not ours, the banks are not ours. We own nothing except NRCs. So time has come for us to rise to the occasion. Time has come for us to realize that we are the ones that can change the trajectory of this country. Not someone from outside, it is us, yourself and myself. We are the ones to change the trajectory of this country. We cannot continue being tools of production in this country. We cannot continue being pawns in the grand scheme of events. Time has come for us to take part, especially we, the youths. It is about time that we rose to the occasion. And I'll share just one or two things that I believe might be of help to us, for us to hold the mantle as leaders of this country. So I'll just give you 4 steps or 4 radical points that I believe are important for you to take home from this presentation. Number 1, if you are to succeed, of course I receive many questions on what has contributed for me to become who I am. So I'll just share 4 on account of time, so that we can allow you an opportunity to ask questions. Number 1, hard work is indispensable. We've talked so much about hard work. People talk about hard work. But you see, the need for hard work cannot be overemphasized. There is need for hard work. Now here's something interesting that I want you to note. We as human beings, all of us are naturally lazy. Everyone who is here is lazy naturally. Even those people that we see to be hard workers, they are lazy naturally. By default, a human being is lazy. And I can share this with you. Imagine you had all the money. that this world can afford. I mean, you had the money. You can buy any vehicle that you want at any time. It is not about which vehicle. Your problem is not money, but where to spend it. If you're in that position, you can buy any vehicle, you can buy any house, you can travel the globe at any time, whenever you decide that you have the money. You can spend it all through your life and leave an inheritance for your children. You have the money. Now, if you had that kind of money, would you be waking up at 04? Would you? You may maybe wake up at 04 just to eat, not to prepare for work. Why? Because you have the money. So people that work hard, we work hard for two reasons. Number one, because we aspire for a certain life. And number two, we want to maintain a lifestyle. Now that we have realized and concluded that we as human beings are naturally lazy, then it is those that are able to push away laziness, those that are able to push away luxury towards hard work, those are the only ones that are going to make it. Because you need to realize that our dreams are the same. Your dreams, my dreams, and the dreams of everyone else are the same. All of us want to drive powerful vehicles. Unless if there's one here who is so comfortable to say, no, for me, I am okay with a better than walking. I mean, Vids. I'm okay. Anyone here? No one. All of us aspire for powerful vehicles, nice houses, or maybe do we have anyone here who is okay with a two-roomed house? I am okay with a two-roomed house. You know, we can be sharing with the family, two-roomed. Anyone comfortable with that? We aspire for the same things. Powerful mansions, we aspire for that. Anyway, money is nice. You know, it makes life very, very interesting. So we aspire for the same things. But not everyone is going to live that life. It is only those that are willing to outwork, out-improve, and uphold excellence. So hard work is indispensable. And this is one thing that I learned from a very young age. Grew up in the village, you know, very poor setup. I was born at a place where there's no electricity. I first saw electricity when I was 10 years old. First time seeing electricity. From the village, I got to a school called Matero Boys, where I started my business journey from selling pamphlets. From Matero Boys, got to the village, was running a kiosk. From a kiosk, I started trading in goats. From my village, I got into the village, deeper villages, to buy goats. Then I realized that villagers were much more comfortable with, you know, a barter system. So I would get in town, buy a bicycle, ride it to my village. From the village, the following morning, I would set off, ride into deeper villages, exchange my bicycle with, you know, 4 or 5 goats. And for those that are from the village, there's a brand which is so known at the village. What is that brand? We have a lot of villagers here. I welcome you. So I would get in the village, and it's a journey that would take me from 04, get into deeper villages. By 9, 10, I would exchange my bicycle with 4, 5 goats. Then I would walk with those goats to my village. It's a journey that would take me from 10 hours, reaching my village around 01 the following morning. Continuous walking. Now that called for hard work. And in fact, you know goats, very energetic. The first half of the journey, goats are running from one end of the road to the other. And you have to keep chasing. The second half of the journey, they are tired. They start sleeping on the road. I tried pushing them. It was not working. Whipping them. It was not working. I devised a strategy. I would tickle them. I would tickle them. Of course, don't ask me where I used to tickle, how. Forget about that. Just know that I used to tickle them. Then they'll be re-energized for the next 25 minutes. Now, that called for hard work. Now, some of us are not willing to work hard. Some of us are employed and we are thinking, here I'm just employed. This is not my company. I'll start working hard when I start my own company. You are not a robot to change your work culture overnight. You can't. And that is why at the end of the year, you know, we make resolutions. Come January, January 1st, I'm a new person. You know, I'll be closer to God. You know, I know your resolutions. I'll be going to the gym, I'll be exercising. Come January 1st. January 1st will come. 2nd will come. By the time it is 5th January, your body says, where are you taking me? It will just say, back to default settings. Why? Hard work is a trait that you build over time. As such, I would encourage you to begin harnessing hard work. Regardless of where you are, as a student, whether you are employed, in whichever sphere that you are, embrace hard work. Are we together on that one? Number 2, I would want you to look at the network that you have around yourself. Thank you. Your network is your net worth. The people that you interact with have an impact on your life. And this cannot be overemphasized. And for you who have gathered here, it is an indication that your thinking is at the same wavelength. You had an opportunity of being anywhere else, but you decided to be here. You can give yourselves a round of applause. We need to realize that the people you interact with have an impact on. We think peer pressure is for young guys that are in secondary school. That's what we think. But everyone is affected and impacted by peer pressure. Everyone, even adults. We as adults, we are still youths, but we are adults. We as adults are impacted by peer pressure. And how are we impacted? Just by interaction. The people that you interact with have an impact on you. And I think I can give an example. You see, I am one of those that would be deemed reasonably successful by Zambian standards. Why? Because from the goat's business that I was talking about, I started importing things from Botswana and South Africa. Then I was in my teenage years. When I was 20 years old, I founded Glad Tidings Software Limited, which had a product called Glad Tidings eSchool, which is the most used school management system in the country to date. By the time I was 23 years old, I owned these 30-ton trucks. They are the ones who call truck and trailers. And people couldn't believe that a 22, 23-year-old could own such. So I was reasonably successful. And I remember at one time, and I always share this, at Kabango checkpoint, one of my drivers had trouble. Then the traffic cop called for the owner of the truck. I got at Kabango checkpoint. I've never seen a traffic cop that annoyed. He shouted at my driver in my presence and said, "Iwe nakuza titana bene bake, not mwana wa bene bake." Why? Because they couldn't believe that a 22, 23-year-old could actually own trucks. 25 years old, or of course 24, I built my first mansion. 25, I founded DLN Technologies. That is why now when you go to banks, you get your ATMs instantly on issuance. Most of the banks are using our machines to do their ATM cards. I founded that at 25 years old. And of course, the story goes on and on. But I was reasonably successful by Zambian standards, right? But now putting that aside, I went for a meeting. I'm trying to underscore the fact that the people that you associate with have an impact on you. I got to a meeting in London, Park Plaza. Now, Park Plaza, for those that have been to London, you realize that it is one of the most expensive places. At our current rate, per night, it was 20,000 kwacha. And I was there for 3 nights. So now, in that gathering, during a tea break, we had these cocktail tables, and we are just catching up. And I'm one of the 7 guys from Africa. And out of the 7, we are just the 4 of us who are blacks. And I was the youngest. So I felt I'd made it. I'm called the radical entrepreneur, and life is flowing. Then the conversation broke with the guy who was complaining. Then the guy complains and says, you see, our turnover has dropped from 400 to 380 million dollars. These figures, how are we going to deal with them? Now I'm thinking, as if that is not enough, the other guy from the States says, no, as we have maintained, it is $600 million. Now I'm thinking, you see, I'm trying to convert the figures in Zambian kwacha, then I'm realizing, this table will not spoil my day. I said, maybe I'm on the wrong table. I decided to move to another table where there was a gentleman from Ghana, a fellow black man. So I got there, it's a cocktail arrangement. There are no chairs, so you can move around. And who will see? I said, no, see you around. Then I go to the other table. Then this guy, at that particular moment, he had received a message from the PA in Ghana that had just been given to do the first phase of NRCs in their country. And that first phase, which was like a pilot project, out of the 10 phases, just the pilot first phase, it was $80 million. So he was excited and was sharing with me. At that point, even that 80 million, before we convert to kwacha, if that money was in kwacha, already I don't reach it. Then I said, you see, here I am finished. Here I am done. When my time came to speak, I resolved in my heart to say, here I am not speaking figures. Here I am speaking percentages. When my time to speak came, I just said, you see, we increased our turnover by 20%. And everyone is clapping, but they don't know 20% of what. When I came back from that meeting to Zambia, I realized one thing. I was challenged there to say, you see, I thought I had made it, but I had not made it. They exposed me on how much I needed to push. The time I came back to Zambia, I have never pushed as much as I pushed from that side, because I had interacted with people that have achieved so much more. But the challenge that we have is the people that we interact with do not challenge us to push harder. The conversations that we have are negative. We are competing from the wrong front. Instead of competing to push ourselves in the right direction, we are competing ourselves in the negative side. You are a student and you are interacting with guys who are not serious in school. When your conversations come up, you are competing on how you have failed. Me, I got 60%. You are complaining 60. Me, 49. You 49, you have nothing to complain on. Me, it's 40. You are saying 40. Me, 39. And you are laughing. And you are thinking that is just for students. Even you adults competing on how poor you are. No, between me and poverty, I just have 100 kwacha. Another one, no, me, just a 50 kwacha. The third one, fearing to be beaten on how poor you are. When one says, no, me, pano na 20 kwacha chabe niribe. Now when one says na 20 kwacha niribe, the other one now wants to hammer the final one. It just comes and says, ukamba na 20 kwacha, me, I have even forgotten on how it looks like. Competing on how poor you are. And these are some of the friends that we keep around ourselves. You need people that challenge you to push and make yourself better. Are we together? All right, so as we leave this place, I want you to choose the kind of people that you keep around yourself. Have people that challenge you. Look out the pages that you follow. The people that, sometimes you may not interact with them. I am on Facebook, Dumisani Ncube. You can follow the page. I share so much on entrepreneurship. But the challenge is, even the people that we interact with on social media are jokers. Jokes. Just jokes, memes the whole day. Laughing your way to poverty. We need to change. We need to realize, and you see this even on pages. Even pages that start, like take for instance, you find that on Mwebantu. Same page, same following. Check out the post. Even just today, check out. You will see when they post a post that sounds like, it's just a hand and a ring. Then it is on the steering. And the brand of the vehicle is a Mercedes-Benz. Then they just caption. They don't have to say so much. They just caption and say, Iris Naeve. Check the comments. 20 minutes later, 1,000 comments, 500 shares, 10,000 likes. Then 2 hours later, on the same page, the USAID is empowering women. And you need to apply to access the funds and ta-da-da-da. Check. After 20 minutes. 10 likes, no share, and if it is a comment, it is just a thumbs up. It is done. But for the other one, nothing serious. 500 said, this news is so powerful, I can't keep it to myself. I must share. People need to see the things we interact with. And if you see that the majority of your friends tag you on memes, just know where you belong. Yeah, just know where you belong. Your network is your net worth. Number 3, just grow old. Just grow old. It is one way of succeeding. I know that this sounds a bit off. Just grow old. Does growing old guarantee success? No, but it increases your chances of success. Now let me qualify this. If 2 people graduate at 25 or start work at 25, and they are earning a 10,000 kwacha a month. So one is 28 and the other one is 50 years old. So meaning the one who is 28 has worked for 3 years. The one who is 50 years old has worked for 25 years. Who between the two has higher chances of being successful? Hello? The 50-year-old or 28-year-old? The 50-year-old. Because the older you get, the higher the chances of you accumulating wealth. That is how it works. That is why when he was talking of blessers, the blessers normally are those that are old. Why? Because the chances of becoming wealthy are higher the older you get. Maybe let me give empirical evidence. If you looked at the top 20 richest billionaires in the world, out of the top 20, there is only one who is less than 40 years old, and that is Mark Zuckerberg. He's the only one. If you looked at the 20 billionaires that Africa has, there is no one who is less than 40. The majority are above 65. And it might interest you that more than half are above 73. Why? The older you get, the higher the chances of success. That is how it works. Now, where am I driving you with this? I'm driving you here. No one has control over life. No one has control on how long you live. You can just walk out and you can be bashed by a vehicle. Your life can end. So no one has control over life. But it is a fact that a number of us cut our lives short by our deeds. A number of us cut our lives short by the things that we do. Now that I'm talking to youths, the moment you make a little money, as a gentleman, you want to sleep with every skirt around. Your life is cut short. You make a little money, you want to drive at the fastest rate across the streets of Lusaka. You are in an accident, you are gone. Your life is cut short. So as such, one of the ways that I want to introduce you to is be careful on how you live your life. Exercise, eat healthy, and live a life of integrity, not a life of promiscuity. We, the young people, are not so careful on that. And I thought I should share that with you because it is one of the ways that would make it possible for you to become successful at a later age. I know that you're even silent. You know what you do. The last one, I'll share on how you can handle failure. Sometimes we spend so much time talking of how you can be successful. That is fine, but we don't talk about handling failure. And that is why when people fail, they want to commit suicide. They get into depression. When they are rejected, it is depression, stress and everything else. How do you handle failure? You see, I have faced failure face to face. 2010, Wellest in South Africa, I was robbed of my capital at knife point. 12th March 2010. All the money that I had was gotten away from me. The only money that survived was in my inner pocket. Of course, don't ask me which inner pocket. Just know that it was in my inner pocket and it was safe. At least it was enough for transport back to Lusaka with a little change. From the change, I was able to buy a white suit, just to remind me that I was once a businessman. And that is how I got back. 2013, I made a massive loss in a tomato project. 2012, tomatoes, a crate was going for 150 kwacha a crate. The same period, 2012, February, March, 150 kwacha a crate. Towards the end of the year, I decided to invest in tomatoes at the farm. 2013, same period, February, March, after, having great yields. Per week, I was picking 500 crates. 2 weeks, 1,000 crates minimum. Now, imagine if I was selling at 150 kwacha. Every 2 weeks, I should have been making 150,000 kwacha. Per month, 300,000 kwacha. But the unthinkable happened. A crate that was selling for 150 kwacha in 2012, February, March, in 2013 was selling for 7 kwacha, a full crate. What that simply entails is that it was a total loss. Transport to Soweto Market, 6 kwacha. People picking at the farm, 1 kwacha. It was better for me to leave the tomatoes in the field than pick them. It was a total loss. 24th August, 2014, one of my trucks was involved in a tragic accident where the driver had loaded 8 unauthorized passengers who were badly injured in the truck. At the accident scene between Siavong and Kafue, at the accident, whereas people were in the wreckage, people were looting bags of maize. Out of over 600 bags of maize, we recovered only less than 70 bags of maize. People were looting, people needed compensation, and that was a total massive loss. In fact, those that were injured, certain families were demanding as much as 350,000 kwacha as compensation. I had to sell off my trucks just to cover up the mess that I was in, because foolishly I had not properly insured my truck. So I have had these ups and downs. I've been scammed. 2019, November, December, I was scammed of $19,296. In the process, I lost $40,000, which is over $1 million. And, it is always there. Now, how have I handled failure? Now, quickly, I've handled failure on 2 fronts. From the spiritual side, I love Genesis 1, chapter 1, verse 26, and verse 28, where man is charged to say, I give you dominion over the fish of the sea, the birds in the sky. But the word I want you to underline is dominion. The key is, you will not own. Did you get that? As human beings, we own nothing. We just have what? Dominionship. So when you lose, it is not that you lost what you owned. You've just lost the dominionship that you had. And that is why when you die, your parents and your relatives will share what you have. What you thought you owned, naked you came, naked you go. So if you understand it from that angle, that you own nothing, you just have dominionship, you will not be depressed and lose your life over material things. So that is one front. And in fact, I've shared this before. 2018, I was looking at the suits that I have. I love suits. So I was looking at the value of suits. This one, I bought it from France, 15,000, 20,000. When we added in 2018, it was about, 300,000. But here's something interesting. If I died, out of all the suits that I have, my parents would give me 1 suit, 1 shirt, 1 tie, and they'll send me without shoes. The suits that I thought I owned, others will share. So look at it that way. When you face rejection, when you face losses, look at it that you own nothing, you just have dominionship. Then the other way, how I handle failure, I look at my life as a movie. Imagine watching a movie where the starring from the beginning of the movie, he is beating everyone up to last fight. Would you love that movie? Okay, for you ladies who love stories, imagine from the beginning of the story, this guy and this lady, they bump into each other, books fall down. As they are picking them, they look at each other in the eyes, and they start talking, and they are in love. And everyone is supporting them, the relatives support, and everyone supports, and everyone loves them. And they get married, and they have children. No problem, they are married. Would you love that movie? You see, what makes the movie interesting is the ups and the downs. So if it is an action movie, it will start, the starring is okay, but he will be unfairly treated. Someone will treat the starring in a wrong way. And you watching, you even be sad for the starring. Why are they doing this to this innocent guy? In fact, as you get to the last fight, the starring won't even beat the opponent instantly. He'll be beaten first. He'll be beaten, then he'll be lying lifeless. When he's lying lifeless, the camera people will zoom the head of the starring. Then the camera will enter the head. When the camera has entered the head, it will show things. Then the starring will see images. When the starring has seen enough images, he will not open both eyes. He will just open one eye. Bang! Then you will clap. Akarimo! When he stands up, he doesn't stand up fast. It will be slow motion. Wow. Then at that point, when he's up, one leg, 10 people hit. Bah, bah, bah. Then he wins. Then you clap and say, this move was interesting. Now for you, when you see yourself down, just say, this is my movie. And this movie is interesting and it's going to interest. Thank you so much.